Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the Larix collection. We are here on episode 3. We're gonna go into non-natives and pollinators on the Ojibway Prairie site. I can go into so many non-natives in the area, but to keep context to this site, I'm only gonna mention non-natives I have seen on the site, but there are so many more that can occur on this site. I am mainly a plant guy, not much on insects, etc., so I will most likely just name them, and what I've seen them on won't really give a description of the species. Before I go into the description of these non-native plants, I'm going to touch base on the difference between non-native and invasive. So just because a plant is non-native to an area doesn't mean it's invasive. What non-native means is it was brought here either by humans or by birds, etc. Seeds have naturally expanded to new areas by birds since forever. It is more natural than what we do. When settlers came here from Europe, they brought a lot of plants and seeds that they loved, which back then they didn't know the damage it could actually do. So when they propagated these seeds and grew them, those are instantly considered non-natives because they did not occur in the ecosystem before then. Also, just because it doesn't belong here doesn't mean it will thrive here. Native plants can choke out some of the non-natives and keep them at bay because they are not ideal to grow for the ecosystem they were brought into. Now, when a non-native plant thrives in those ecosystems, that's when it becomes invasive. Because as it will outgrow natives sometimes and knock them back, which will take over the ecosystem, making it a problem for natives in their own ecosystem. That's when it becomes invasive, when it is damaging to the ecosystem. The reason they can be so bad is because they didn't evolve in this ecosystem, which means they don't have what are called ecological checks. There are no insects that eat them to knock them back and keep them at bay. Because nothing evolved with this plant, it isn't usually on the menu as much. That being said, there's nothing to stop it for taking over the area, making it invasive and damaging to the ecosystem. Funny thing is, we can actually be considered an ecological check for these invasives because we are educated. We can educate ourselves on what plants damage the ecosystem, and if done properly, we can remove them and cut the seed bank of the invasive. Now that I've covered those, the non-native and invasives, I'm going to go through a couple non-natives that I've seen on site. None of these are actually considered invasive, but just this is what I could find on the site. The list is Euphorbia capricias, the Cypress spurge, Phleum pratense, Timothy grass, Dianthus armeria, Deptford Pink, Melilotus, officinalis, yellow sweetclover, Melilotus albus, white sweetclover. Euphorbia capricias, Cypress spurge. So this plant is a Euphorbia species which is considered toxic from its sap. This latex can cause nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea when eaten, and can actually cause blindness if the latex gets into your eyes, and also will irritate your skin. The name shows that this plant looks a lot like a cypress. Literally looks like a mat of baby evergreens when you first see it. I actually think it has some funky flowers, as you can see here. As for the description, the flower is a cup shape, being about 2 to 3 millimeters long and 2 millimeters wide, and the whole thing appears as one flower, but has a 3-lobed ovary. It appears in a cluster of about 2 to 10 centimeters wide. The leaves are 1.5 to 4 centimeters long and are linear, which appear to be needle-like. The leaves are very crowded and alternate, then become whorled at the top of the plant. It can get to heights to 15 to 30 centimeters, but it forms dense mats across the soil with its horizontal roots. It flowers from March to June and appears on roadside cemeteries and disturbed areas. Where I found it on this site is along the main gravel path, which I would consider a roadside. Its native range is Eurasia, being introduced to North America in 1860s, and it isn't considered an invasive everywhere, but is considered one in Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Rhode Island, and Wisconsin, from what I can find. It is not considered invasive on iNaturalist for my area, so I'm going to call it a non-native for this site, as it is not overly abundant. Phleum pratense Timothy grass. I do not have a lot of pictures for this plant. For context, it was just a non-native grass I came across on the site. As I mentioned in the last video, we have some mean native grass, so I got to put down the non-native ones. The description of this flower is narrow, compact spike, being erect and unbranched on an unbranched stem. The flowers are enclosed and scale-tipped with bristles 2 millimeters long, and the spike altogether is 20 centimeters long and 8 millimeters wide. The leaves are 10 to 25 centimeters long and 6 millimeters wide, tapering to a point. This species gets to heights of 45 to 90 centimeters, or 1.5 to 3 feet. It flowers in June to August, occurring in fields, roadsides, clearings. It was naturalized here from Europe and is not considered an invasive on a naturalist for this area. It doesn't get as tall as the big blue stem and can get choked by it, which is the big blue stem is pretty abundant in this area. Songbirds actually are known to eat the seeds, which actually might keep them at bay as well. So this grass is a non-native, but we actually have a native Phleum species, native to North America, mountaintops. Not in this area because there are no mountains, but it is called Mountain Timothy, Phleum alpinum. Now we're going to go into Dianthus armerium, the Deptford Pink. This plant has a very deep pink flower, as you can see here. It occurs in flat-top clusters on an erect stem. The flower is 1.5 centimeters wide, having 5 petals with jagged edges. The petals also have tiny white spots throughout the pink. The bracts underneath the flower are leaf-like and can be lanceolate, The leaves are 2.5 to 10 centimeters long, narrow and erect, appearing light green in color. The whole plant grows to about 15 to 60 centimeters, or 6 to 24 inches tall. This species flowers from May to September, occurring in dry fields and roadsides. These photos were taken on the side of the path, which I consider to be a roadside fitting, as a description where it may thrive. These roadside loving species are tough because there's so many roadways nowadays that they can pop up in many places. All these roadsides are not maintained very often to knock them back, but the species is native to Europe, from Portugal to southern Scotland to southern Finland and east to Ukraine. It is considered naturalized in North America, but does not come up as an invasive species on iNaturalist for my area. Melilotus officinalis, yellow sweetclover. This species is loosely branched with small yellow pea flowers, which occur in a spike-like cluster coming out of the leaf axis. The flower themselves are 6 millimeters long and come in clusters of 15 centimeters long. So when it says pea flower, the pea family has a distinct flower, which is considered of a banner across the top, which is considered 2 petals fused together. At the bottom, you have the wings, and that sit on top of the keel, like the keel of a boat. The bottom set of petals protect the reproductive parts of the flower, which once you can ID a pea flower, you'll help you know a plant is in the pea family before you even know that the species is. The leaves are compound with 3 lanceolate tooth leaflets, about 1.5 to 2.5 centimeters long. The height of the species is 60 to 150 centimeters, or 2 to 5 feet tall. It flowers from May to October, occurring in waste places and fields, which fits the area was observed in. It is native to Eurasia, but it is not considered invasive in the area according to iNaturalist. The seeds are actually eaten by game birds such as grouse, which could also help keep them at bay. Now Melilotus albanus, the white sweet clover, which is super closely related to, it's in the same genus as the last species. This species has a small white pea flower, which occurs in a long spike cluster coming out of the leaf axis. The main difference is the color of the flower being white. The flower themselves are 6 millimeters long, and the cluster is 20 centimeters long. The leaves are compound with 3 leaflets and 1.5 to 2.5 centimeters long. The height of the species is 90 to 240 centimeters, or 3 to 8 feet tall. It flowers from May to October, occurring in roadsides or fields where it occurs on the side of the path throughout the prairie. It is also native to Eurasia and has the same status as the Melilotus officinalis, being considered a non-native. Now I'm going to fire back some pollinators that I've seen on the site, and I'm just going to name the common name and the species they were seen on.
We got the western honeybee. It was seen on Cypress species, great spangled Fritillary, seen on the Cerium species as well. Cloud cipher, seen on Apisa tuberosa, the butterfly milkweed. Monarch, seen on the Apisa tuberosa, the butterfly milkweed. This is a species of meadowhawk. It is not a pollinator, so a species that is found on doesn't matter. Little wood satire, species not identified it is on. Northern broken dash, found on a species of Poaceae. Edwards hair streak, seen on Apisa tuberosa, the butterfly milkweed. All right, well, that's all I got for today. Thank you again for listening to me ramble on. That will be it for this episode. Next episode, I'm going to describe a few more of my favorite natives I have recorded in the area, and then for the 5th episode, I'm going to switch locations and describe another ecosystem. Hope you got something from this. Enjoy some beats from my buddy Jetskii Jr. while I fire back some pictures to you. Have a good one. Peace.